Hello everyone! Welcome to our explanations about song translation. Today, we'll be diving into the fascinating world of translation techniques. In this section, we will use song How Far I'll Go, an original soundtrack from Moana. And of course, to digging more deeper, we will apply some translation technique in various types of media, especially in a song and literary text. Before we get started, let us quickly introduce ourselves. My name is Jessy.
I'm Lintang.
And I'm Feby.
Together, we have worked on analyzing translation techniques across different search, which we'll share in the next few slides. Okay, for our analysis, we use 4 different articles that focus on various aspects of translations. First, a foundational article by Molina and Albier, which introduced 18 translation techniques. This is the main theory we refer to. Next, we have studies focused on translation songs, including the Moana soundtrack, Owl Cities, Fireflies, and Challenge with Figurative Language in How Far I'll Go song. These articles provide a rich ground for discussing how translation techniques are chosen and adopted depending on the media and message. Okay, so maybe you are wondering, why these techniques? Translating isn't just swapping English words into Indonesians and calling it a day. You have got to fill in the sentence, keep the meaning, match the mood, sometimes even the rhyme. It's like solving a language puzzle. So that's why Molina and Albiers help us with their framework from 2002 that provides 18 translation strategies that help translators be both accurate and creative. Their techniques like adaptations, modulations, transpositions, and amplification are especially useful in translation songs, where maintaining rhythm, rhythms, and impact is crucial.
So, how were these analyses done? Most of the articles we reviewed used a qualitative method that focused on the meaning and context behind translations. They rely on Molina and Albier's theory that introduced 18 techniques to help translators adapt text creatively and accurately. There are 2 different ways of translating for audiovisual media: dubbing and subtitling. Dubbing is when the audio is replaced entirely in the target language, while subtitling is when translations appear as on-screen text. Let's break down some of the key translation techniques. First of all, we have adaptation. This is used when something in the source culture doesn't translate well into the target culture, so the translator replaces it with something more familiar to the audience. For example, everything is by design becomes nampak begitu bahagia seperti yang diharapkan. They're not translating it in a literal sense. Instead, they're capturing the similar feeling or context that fits Indonesian culture better. Why? Because by design may sound abstract or stiff if it translated directly. Next is literal translation. It is a verbatim translation that is translated word for word. For instance, every road leads back becomes setiap jalanku semua kembali. It works here because the metaphor is simple and doesn't lose its meaning when directly translated. And then there is reduction. Reduction is all about simplifying. The translator cut out details that aren't essential to keep the meaning clear. For example, I can lead with pride, I can make us strong, becomes bangga memimpin membuat kita kuat. Some details is removed but the core message stays. This is useful because the timing and rhythm is crucial in a song. Move to the next one, modulation. It is used when the translator changes the perspective or the way something is expressed, but the meaning stays the same. Let's take a look at the example. I've been standing at the edge of the water. Becomes telah lama ku tatap tepian air. Instead of focusing on the physical act of standing, the translation shifts into the act of gazing. Next one is transposition. This technique changes the grammatical structure, like switching a phrase into just a single word. Example, see the line where the sky meets the sea becomes horizon seakan memanggil diriku. The underlined phrase, the line where the sky meets the sea, is a noun phrase with line as the head noun and a relative clause where the sky meets the sea as the modifier. The translator changed it into a single noun word horizon to keep it concise and fitting the song rhythm. And finally, generalization. It replaces a specific term with a more general one. We still use the same example. See the line where the sky meets the sea becomes horizon seakan memanggil diriku. Instead of keeping the detailed image of the line where the sky meets the sea, the translator used the word horizon, which is a more general concept, to make it flow better in Indonesian while still keeping the sense of the original song.
So next, we also include the sample of analysis in other media, and we choose Sherlock Holmes' story Scandal in Bohemia as an object. So, here we go! The first one is adaptation, and the search tag is create in a sensitive instrument, and become pasir yang terdapat pada suatu instrumen yang sensitif. Grit is adapted into pasir. In English, grit is used as a metaphor. Instead of translating grit directly, the translator used pasir or sand, which is more familiar and easier to imagine for Indonesian readers. The second is literal translation. So we have he never spoke of the softer passion, save with a gibe and a snare as the source tag, and it becomes, dia tak pernah menyinggung soal asmara tanpa nada mengejek dan sinis. This sentence is translated word by word, so that's why we can say that this is literal translation. And the third is reduction. Here we have would not be more disturbing than a strong emotion in a nature such as his, as a search tag. And we have masih tak terlalu mengganggu dibandingkan dengan perasaan yang meluap-luap as a target text. The phrase in a nature such as his is omitted in the target tag, so that's why we can say there is reduction on this sentence. Fourth, we have modulation. So the search tag is he was, I take it, the most perfect reasoning and observing machine. And this become, menurutku, dia bagaikan mesin pemikir dan pengamat terbaik in target text. This is an example of modulation because it changes the point of view from an assumption to a personal opinion while maintaining the overall meaning. Fifth, we have transposition. So the source text is all emotion and that one particularly were abhorrent. And the target text is yang namanya perasaan apalagi yang satu itu tak pernah ada. It's an example of transposition because it involves a change in grammatical structure. In the source tag, all emotion is a noun phrase, while in the target text is transformed into a verbal expression. Last is generalization, and the source text is the softer patience, and the target text is soal asmara. The softer patient is more abstract, so it became asmara, that focus just on romantic love. So, that's all from us. Thank you and happy learning!